this week I picked In and Out, and it's interesting because what I remembered of it was, that it was just funny and it was, charming, endearing, blah blah blah. Okay, but I also wasn't out when this movie came out.
I was wondering.
And I got to tell you, okay, so, and I Googled also when Will and Grace came out, because this movie actually was done the year before Will and Grace came out. And
what about Ellen? When was Ellen done? When
That
did
same
Ellen
year.
come out?
I think it was 97.
I don't know. Yeah, but
I know that was big.
Yeah, but but she of course was not gay up until she came out at that show or whatever. But this to me was just, considering when it was done, I thought it was really, it was very progressive, I guess, for that point. Okay, so at first, I'm just having a good laugh, okay? Because it was like every friggin' gay cliche you've all ever heard, right? I mean, it's like, beaches, once again, even his alarm clock was the fucking Village People, for God's sakes. It was like, and he's like a cross between Tony Randall and Pee Wee Herman as far as, with the bow tie and the bicycle and all that stuff or whatever. And then, so seeing Tom Selleck without a mustache, it kind of threw my whole universe off. I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen him without a mustache.
He shaved it for this movie.
I almost didn't know it was him, right? Because, I mean, he's so, like, with the mustache. Okay. And then, this BS where, like, how they should have known. I mean, he's an English teacher. He's prissy. He's well-dressed. He's really clean. He's in the drama club. He's been engaged for 3 years. He rides a bike. I mean, it all adds up, And then, of course, he's doing this, and they're like, Mr. Beckett, watch the hands. And I'm like, oh, shit, you got to, like, get out of there or whatever. And so I really enjoyed every minute of all these cliches. Okay, and then okay, and I gotta tell you that dance scene where he's got that tape on, so and they're like, stand up. He's like, not like a teapot, and then like lower your voice, and then of course when they put on that Gloria Gaynor. Which did you all notice that the song they had was "I Will Survive," which is the song I always put on when I come out to perform. I don't know if you noticed that, or whatever, but and because it's true, no gay guy can sit there and listen to that song and not go off the chart. Then I got to tell you, it started to not be so funny to me because it's kind of like the story of my life, to be honest with you, because the truth of the matter is, you realize he got fired, okay, because he came out, and all of a sudden, all these kids that were not kids, I mean, well, I guess they're kids, yeah, and that were in part of his, team that were all getting dressed in the gym. Now all of a sudden, they're all covering up, and it was just kind of sad to or even, and then this, okay, so everyone has always told me that, like, I wiggle when I walk, and they were always making like a reference to, that's kind of like feminine. Why do you wiggle when you walk? Okay, well, I'll have that one leg is 1.5 inches shorter than the other leg, okay? And that's why it wiggles, okay? No other reason. And so when Bob Newhart is like saying, you're not gay, right? And he's like, no. And he said, well, would you mind walking for me or whatever? It started to hit nerves, to tell you the truth. And I guess it just, hit home a little bit. And that part where, when Wilford Brimley came over, and said, no matter what, basically I'm there for you. And, even though he's like a farmer and you would think he would be the last person that would be as great as he was. And I found myself tearing up because I thought, what I wouldn't have given to have a father like that, who was just, that cool or whatever, or to have a mother that basically, would say to you, I love you no matter what or whatever. That stuff was not said, even in 1997, although when he said to me, did Barbra Streisand do that to you? I thought, yeah, God, this poor lady, just because she has a nose you want to stick up your ass does not make her a gay icon, And I have to say that at the graduation, I cried. Like, you think, I know it's supposed to be a comedy and everybody's laughing up a storm. And for me, it was because as a gay person back then, your biggest fear is that if you come out, everybody you love, what if they disown you or throw you out or like whatever? And it's, it's just, so I guess watching a gay man at that time's fantasy come true, where everybody comes to support him and defends him, anyway, so yeah, so go figure. This is such, supposed to be such a funny comedy, and I found myself tearing up like several times. So there you have it. And I picked the movie thinking, oh yeah, I remember it was like so much fun. But then I thought about it. I think I remembered walking on there and going, so what do you think of it? Did you like it? Oh yeah, let's go smoke a cigar and I'll show you how to, play football, whatever that is. Anyways. And I was very proud though of the time that it was made because, I think that what revolutionized, or what really between Ellen coming out when she did, and then between Will and Grace bringing humor to gay, if you will, it helped you fall in love with these characters rather than, show disdain for them or whatever. And, you start to realize, I mean, they are who they are or whatever, and, I felt bad for Joan Cusack, because I lived that also. So, but then again, she ended up with Matt Dillon. So, and she got to eat Cheetos. So there was a happy ending because Matt Dillon, Cheetos, where do I sign up, right?
Mm-hmm. True.
So I'm curious to hear, your take, because obviously this is.
I'm still honestly thinking about this movie and how I feel about it. I didn't see it when it came out. I was pretty young. I remember the cover for some reason left an impression where he's dancing. I remember that, but I didn't know much else about it. And as I was watching it, I kept trying to put myself in the shoes of, what is that, over 20 years ago? Like how this movie would have been different, because right now I'm watching it going like, really? Like the ending, like to me, the ending, I was like, no.
I got
like the whole thing. I've had a lot of strange feelings during this film because I wanted to laugh, but I also felt uncomfortable because like I've listened to a lot of podcasts and seen a lot of social media about outing people, and the fact that he was just so publicly outed in a way that like he didn't even realize he was gay. It got me really angry when I think I was supposed to be enjoying it, and maybe 20 some years ago I would have thought it was fun and poignant, and now it didn't hold up. I don't know. I just wish I had seen it before so I had something to compare how my views have changed.
And there is a gay code, by the way. You never out anybody, like ever.
I would think.
Than out somebody, So.
That just seems like bad form in anything, you know what I mean? So I recently saw this maybe like a month ago for the first time. Again, Kevin Kline, Tom Selleck, Cusack, Wilford Brimley, Debbie Reynolds, everybody is fantastic. Even a lot of the young high school actors went on to have very successful careers. Bob Newhart, the whole cast, fantastic, right? So this was kind of like if Pixar decided to make a movie about coming out for me. Like, you know how Pixar does movies and it's like how to handle death and how to handle, bipolar disorder. And like this had like a Pixar kind of thing because it was very, like it had its moments of like, oh no, but there's a happy ending and there's dancing and there's YMCA and like, so I think it needed to be made to kind of, this was a gay movie for Bubba who lives in Arkansas that he could watch him. I'll tell you what, not all those gay guys are that bad. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what, they really, because if Magnum P.I. can kiss him, then he's okay for me. You know what I mean? So I think that was kind of where they were going with it. It was like a Diet Coke for, and yes, Eric, as I'm watching that, and as I was watching it, I'm like, what is this like is for Eric? Because all of this, I mean, even though it's so different, you know what I mean? And it's comical, and I know you, and I'm sure a lot of things are comical in your life because you make it that way, because that's how you are. You fight it with comedy. But I was watching it going, yeah, this must hit Eric in a different way than it's hitting me or hitting Emily, obviously. And obviously because of when you finally decided at, not being a teenager or a guy in his 20s, but being a man at this point. Right. So again, I watch it and I have problems with it because it's like, for my gay friends, I go, this is kind of just putting some little sprinkles on this and then everything is okay kind of deal. But that's not to say that they weren't really trying to do something back then. They were. They were trying in the late 90s kind of way to say, hey guys, let's talk about this. Let's bring this out. And again, you could sit there and go, hey, you got to get 2 straight actors to play gay guys. Like, I know a lot of gay actors, you know, you probably could that, but again, you got to bring people in. And seeing Tom Selleck kiss Kevin Kline at the time, I'll never forget. Like, that was a big deal. You know what I mean?
Did you see
like,
Kevin Kline's leg go up? Like he was like,
So, but I mean, and listen, all that stuff, if we're talking about like the movie and the comedy and the timing and the writing, it's great. It's funny. It's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
Talented actors doing what Frank Oz is a talented director. Yeah. But yeah, you watch it now 20 plus years later and you go, this is another one that could afford to be remade and maybe go a little deeper than just spreading the cream cheese on top. Maybe getting the cream cheese really in there, really talking about this cream cheese. You know what I mean? So, but I can't say anything bad about the movie. Like, it's an entertaining movie. And the message, the overall message is like, yes, watch this fucking movie because you need to understand that this is, you know, people deal with this and you can't ruin somebody's life just because of their, you know, I enjoy the movie. I agree with you, Em, and you kind of sit back and go, you know, some of these things. But no different than Look Who's Coming to Dinner was made, and you watch that now and you go, ooh. But it was a movie that needed to be made at that time to say, what are we doing as a society, guys?
But that's very much why I'm glad we watched this and 9 to 5 in the same week, and now we're discussing this after we saw that. It's hitting an area that, you know what, we get to see that there was some growth. I think there's been growth in how women are treated at work. There's been, at least in, I mean, Eric, you can correct me, growth and acceptance and how people are treated.
Of course.
I get
I
fired.
thought the same thing with the 9 to 5 also, by the way. I felt like at the end of the day, these were good social messages and stuff that we don't really ever want to forget that happened so that we don't ever go backwards.
And that might be what it was, is I'm glad it made me uncomfortable because now we're at a place where this wouldn't be made.
Don't you find it interesting too, and as comedians, that these movies were made as comedies handling serious subject matter in order to broach the subject matter and kind of like show everybody and go, but it's a comedy. You know, it's not really dealing with a guy coming out. It's a comedy about a guy coming out. Because people would probably be it's fine, but people be too uncomfortable to see a drama about, in 1997, a drama about what it's like for someone to have to be like, oh, it's too heavy and I don't want to deal with that. Are they going to be kissing during this? It's like, guys, this is stuff that it's educational in a way. You know,
to your point of saying like this is something that, you know, you see a name on it and you're going to get a guy who normally wouldn't go to this type of movie. If you do it as a comedy, the same thing would take, most men probably wouldn't have gone to 9 to 5. They probably were like, those ladies are hot. And sure, if you went, oh, well, yeah.
Does Dolly wear a bikini in it?
Yeah, like I think that's probably, so it made it more accessible. I mean, you wouldn't have in 1997 really had Brokeback Mountain, I don't think, do what it did.
Oh, you know what? God bless Norman Lear, because this is what he did with All in the Family. And that was he talked about stuff that you could get killed for, but because he was so dumb and funny, you took it. But it also raised the consciousness of all these issues that were now so pie chart.
Pie chart.
Yeah. All right, don't give it all to me just because of the gay shit.
No, I almost feel like I'll do the 9 to 5 thirds, or the same way we did with 30, 30, 40.
I agree.
Is that where, because I feel like there's some love story, there's fun stuff, there's things I can enjoy. It was thought-provoking in multiple ways for me, so I'm not
positive. Just the same way that 9 to 5, it was still positive. What was the message? Women can not only do the same job as men, but probably do it better because they did. And in this one, at the end of the day, they all love this guy, and just because now he's this behind closed doors, why are we going to stop loving him? So they're all good messages. So
And the same way I said, I want my daughters to watch 9 to 5 one day. I think any person who has any kind of, and I even hate to see this, but kind of like, oh, gay and stuff, watch this movie. Watch this movie. If you're like a Bible thumping jagoff and you think like, well, it's Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve, watch this movie. Okay?
Yeah. Ease your way into it. Open your
Yeah.
mind slowly, I guess. Plant the
Yeah.
seed.
Seriously.
All right, so 30, 30, 40.
Yes.
Works for me.
All right.
Awesome.
Yay.
Good job.
Good job, everybody. Nice show.
Good job. See you guys later.